So how many of you have been to or seen a professional ballet production? Okay. So even if you haven't, you've probably seen female dancers dance on their toes using special shoes called pointe shoes. Throughout my high school and younger years, I danced with the Sacramento Ballet, and I eventually made my way up to start taking classes on pointe. And so dance brought me so much joy, and so I wanted to share with you guys the most important tool that the dancers use, which is their shoes. So first I'd like to begin with a brief history of where pointe shoes came from and discuss the evolution of the first pointe shoe to the modern ones that dancers use today. And then finally tell you about the modern pointe shoe and how it's made and the components of it. The first pointe shoe had not been invented, however, when ballet first became popular. HistoryCooperative.org states that the very first dance academy in the Western world was what is known today as the Royal Academy of Dance, which was founded by the French King Louis XIV in 1661. The first type of dance shoes had a heel like this, mainly because during that time women wore heels, and that was seen to be more appropriate for women. However, this shoe did not last very long because it made executing technical moves and steps and doing jumps very difficult for the dancer. And so in the 18th century, the flat-bottomed shoe, like the rehearsal demi-pointe shoe that dancers use today, became very popular because it made executing those jumps and doing those technical steps a lot easier, and also allowed for full articulation through the foot. A major turning point in ballet was when Charles Didlot, the choreographer, he's a French choreographer, he invented his flying machine that used hidden wires to help the dancers rise to their toes, which provided the audience with a fairy-like effect. And it said that that audience loved this effect so much and so they began to try to implement this effect even more in dances, and thus the creation of the first real pointe shoe. The first real pointe shoe was nothing like the modern pointe shoe that dancers use today, however, and in fact, it really didn't provide any support to the dancer's foot at all. So, according to the Royal Opera House, Marie Taglioni here is credited with the first dancer to go on pointe in the mid-1800s. She did so with modified flat slippers with darning on the sides to provide extra support. And because these early pointe shoes offered little to no support to the dancer's foot, dancers like Marie and others had to have extremely strong feet and ankles in order to perform such tasks as rising onto their toes. And so Marie's father choreographed La Sylphide, which is what this is a drawing of her in that, and you can see she's on pointe, but she's cheating. And so her father choreographed La Sylphide, which featured the first pointe work in that ballet, and it was considered very scandalous at the time. Since the time of Marie Taglioni, dancers have been modifying their shoes to provide more support and reduce the risk of injury. And modern pointe shoes were developed in the early 20th century by Anna Pavlova. The Gaynor Minded website states that Pavlova was the very first to add reinforcement to the midsole and the box of her pointe shoe. This gave the shoe a lot more stability and support, which allowed the dancer to stay on her toes for a longer amount of time. And since the evolution of this pointe shoe, not much has changed from then to now with the shoes that dancers wear today. And so these are my old pointe shoes when I used to dance, and so these are an example of how modern pointe shoes are made today. There are many different styles. These are just a few styles and brands that are made today, but mine are the Capezio Aria, and they are made in pretty much the exact same way as Anna Pavlova's were in the early 20th century. Their box is made from, it's hard like this, and it's made from layers of satin glued together, and the sole is made from leather. And inside the shoe, there's a component called the shank, which is made from either hard plastic or hardened cardboard. And then, according to balleteducation.com, there are the major components of the modern pointe shoe are the box, which is the hard part that encases and supports the dancer's toes. And it's a common misconception that there's a block of wood in the shoe itself. There isn't. It's just a hole, like where you put your foot and your toe rests on the bottom. You stand on it. And then the next is the shank, which I told you is the hard part that supports the dancer's arch of the foot while on their toes. And then the vamp, which is the very front right here, which is meant to support the dancer's foot in the very front so they don't roll over the top of their foot while they're on their toes. And then finally, the sole, which is made from leather, and it's usually crosshatched, mine is not, but it's usually crosshatched to help the dancer not to slip while they're on their flat. And so I know that without the innovations of past dancers and the modern materials that are used today, I would have never been able to go on point, and maybe even the dancers of today probably wouldn't even be able to do it. But all in all, the pointe shoe is made to give the people the sense of fairy-like magic as the dancer moves across the stage, while still providing the support necessary for their feet and protecting their livelihood, their capability to dance. And so now, if you ever go to a professional ballet, you'll know a little bit more about the history and the components of the dancer's most important accessory, their shoes.